All right, welcome back to the Pennsylvania and Berwind, created by Approach Medium. I'm Wasted Tries, and this session is session 3 of our continuing operating session on the PNB. When we left off last time, we were working on a handful of industries, and we had set out a couple of cars in other industries. In the prior 2 videos, we had 3 trains come onto the route, and so all of the cars present on the map are from those 3 trains. We want this playthrough to have a lot more activities, so that means more trains and more cars coming onto the map. Now, based on the spreadsheet, we are starting in the middle of the same day as before. It is almost noon, and so there's no new tasks. Those new trains that are coming onto the map, they're going to be bringing in cars and handling the industries that were already on our list. But when we hit a new day, then we're going to be adding new tasks to the list, and we're going to be giving those a priority. Haven't decided how to do that yet, but I think it's going to be based partly on whether the industry has been serviced recently, how many cars it's capable of receiving, things like that. So some sort of weighting will determine whether it calls for a new delivery or pickup. On the screen, we're watching one of the new trains into the route, and one of the motivations that I had for streaming today was actually to show off some new locomotives that I created for my PNB playthrough. And in my 2 earlier videos, I showed some Conrail reskins, and now I'm adding an entirely new locomotive asset, this SW1200, which I made in 4 different skins for this route. Now, namely, we have a Conrail, an Erie Lackawanna, an Reading lines that has been very slightly repainted and renumbered for Conrail, and then also a Pennsylvania and Berwind livery of my own creation. And I hope that Approach Medium won't be bothered by my making a unique livery. Just to let you know, I don't plan on distributing that livery. It's just my effort to update the livery a little bit for the 1980s. My livery is basically based on the Bangor and Aroostook livery of that era. So I hope you will enjoy it, and I hope you'll enjoy the playthrough today. I did have some sound issues, so I really hope that the sound is all right. Ongoing, I'm a relatively new streamer, and have really had some issues getting my sound to work correct, and I don't know what happened this time, but basically I feel that the sound is, well, what I'm hearing in my headphones is extremely loud right now, and I can barely hear myself talking. Might be talking too loudly. The sound from the game might be too loud. I do have the mixer open on screen here, so I could turn the sound of the game down a little bit. I might do that temporarily to see if anybody objects. But yeah. So Belmont Lumber, where is Belmont Lumber? Which is where this train is going. And it is not too far from Juniata, but I believe it's near the Vonnie branch or on the Vonnie branch. Let's see if we can get him onto autopilot. Drive via should be fairly high on the list. Old Town, Maine, track 1, perhaps? Could be Mill Creek. Let's do Old Town, just 801. And then I can navigate up, have a look, see where that actually is. Belmont Lumber, yes, it is in Old Town. And Old Town siding, or else can't actually see where 801, 801 Old Town is there. So that's going to be perfect. It's rare that I actually know what I'm doing on this route. Now, one thing that was going on in the background, which is still ongoing, I guess, is the handling of this furniture train. So this train, of course, is coming on with 2 SW1200s, and the idea there is actually to stop by and drop off one of those switch engines to be handling some of the industries that we have to be working. So I think probably Old Town Junction, looking at this, is going to be a better spot for drive via 800 Old Town Junction, right. That's going to carry us a little bit further than we want to go, actually, but it's all right. Now, I need to continue working on some of the industries that are being worked. Huskins is one, but we're not there. There's no locomotive there. Just drop the cars off. But these grain loading actions, we do have to continue to take care of those. One of the things you may notice on the screen is that car tagger is present, but empty for the most part. I have actually had some very useful interactions with one of my viewers over this weekend who pointed out that the problems I was having with car tagger before might be related to having car tagger 2022 installed instead of car tagger 2019. And I think that really jogged a memory that, in fact, car tagger 2019 is the one I need to be using. That's the one that doesn't have any bugs. I believe that car tagger is no longer being maintained or used, updated. So that's part of the issue there. So yeah, we've got these two RS2s that are being... What is going on with him? Do we need to have you get off the train? Sometimes happens that does happen. No train selected. There we go. Get control back. No idea how that works. So yeah, where is the wheat going? First of all, where is the wheat going? And secondly, make sure the track is lined up so we're not derailing. And if the wheat is going somewhere that I can identify, perhaps it's just going off the map though. It's only 4 Shawnee Teen Track, 2 wheats, and they should be going to the Ag Co-op. Speeding slightly. Okay, so tag Ag Co-op. So yeah, when I click on this, when I click on a car, then you'll see that the car tagger pops up. And then when I click off of it in the corner, you see this empty screen pops up and I have to click off again. That's because somehow it's retained in the memory that I had the original car tagger 2022 active. So I'm going to need to double click on that a few times and you might notice that in the background. Yeah, it's going to be a long stretch here for us to load all of these cars. We've got barley, which will be heading over to the brewery, of course. So yeah, I can actually tag those as going to the brewery now. Highland Brewery, excellent. I hope I stopped that in time. Maybe I better back up slightly. I've been having quite a few problems with the multi-industry 2 track, but I'm not going to mention those on screen. Just going to trust that perhaps they can be resolved. Resolved gradually over time. All right. So I think it's time for us to bring the second of the two trains, if I know which direction I'm going, first of all. Yeah. Second of the two trains needs to come into the map. I think that train is over here. So here we've got our Conrail SW 1200. That secondhand car sign in the back is kind of slightly ridiculously large. Turn honey into honey done. 10% savings with divorce decree. Interesting. Interesting humor. I can imagine that actually being on a sign, although maybe not a Home Depot sign. Okay, so what do these cars actually have in them? They have wheat as well. We got a lot of wheat coming on this map. So yeah, who is getting the wheat? And are they all wheat? So that's going to the brewery as well. Oh, then there's potash, right? Okay. So let's go up to the front. I mean, this is definitely where a car tagger can be very useful. So it's going to the brewery, Highland Brewing. Now, why did it not? Oh, it didn't tag them all because they're different cars. Are they all different cars? Oh, they are. They're not all. Okay, they're not all different cars. Okay, I missed one. I probably did not have the car tagger in mind when I set that up. Okay, so we have this one also going to Highland Brewery, and lastly we have our Great Northern Potash, which I believe is going to the Shawnee Team Track. Good, good, good. So why don't we just assign you to our autopilot now? Drive via Shawnee, Maine West. Oops, did not mean to pause it there. So yeah, that's looking good. Go find some of our other drivers here. First of all, let's go back to Adair. Now, Adair is working the Avery Suites, and there's just 2 cars left to unload there, but there's just not enough space. So now, is there space to unload? Gosh, there's really not much space on this track, but I guess I wonder what that junction is. It is an actual junction. I guess that's representing some place where there might have once been a switch. But I think if I just put 2 of the tank cars onto that track, that'll be fine. All right, let's just hold it right there. It doesn't matter which 2 tank cars we take, so. 2 or 3, but doesn't matter if we leave 3, there's no benefit. I don't really feel I need to look there. I feel I more need to look here to see where the clearance point is. I'm going to say it's about there. All the traffic there waiting. I don't remember how long they wait, but it's not very long. I guess the designers of trains felt like they have to strike a balance, because if they make it too long, then the cars get piled up, and that leads to other issues. So it's pretty sight. Sweets candy. One of the best episodes of the PNB build series, in my opinion. It's one of the later episodes. Okay, we've cleared the intersection. I like the tree that's clipping in. Yeah, representing a very overgrown area, but in my P&B, the area is coming back to life. It's involved in its industrial recovery. Let's say 1970 being the low point for American railroads, especially in the Midwest. In this imaginary, railroads and industries of the region are really coming back after a period of depression. So that should finish the unloading of those tank cars. And then after that, unfortunately, we will have to do this. I shouldn't say unfortunately. Everything is fortunate. Everything is by design. But then this string of boxcars will be next after that. Okay, so Adair, you are done for the moment. Amy is working the Allegheny steel plant. And I think it does look like, indeed, some of these have been loaded. Now, it's my intention that the loading should take place throughout the entire shed here. Not just the entire shed. It should take place throughout this entire gantry. So let's see if we can get that to happen. Of course, the locomotives are not really going to fit. Oh, they are going to fit. Yeah, sure. That's not going to be a problem. So is this going to work? I mean, that would be sufficient. Allegheny loading, gondola BNSF 1. Okay, I'm not going to stick around to wait. I'm glad that it started. And everything has to be loaded with the steel rods, so this is the only track that we can use, I think. The Trackmobile, I'm going to start bringing that into service, but not just yet. Okay, so here we are at our lumber. This is a furniture facility. I think that maybe the boxcars have to be also loaded here. I am not sure. But anyway, first things first, we have to get rid of the lumber. Now, since the last time I played, since my last stream, I actually did design my own center beam car, which is modeled on this asset, and I think this is a Toomey asset. So I remarked on the first stream that, as you zoom out, the lumber load disappears. Now, I thought that that was an issue related to the fact that it's an older asset. It's an older asset, an older load asset, an older car asset, and something was related to that. Maybe that if I added a more modern, higher trains build load with more, dialing in the draw distances a little bit more thoughtfully, that would resolve the issue. But it did not resolve the issue. Quite the opposite. Essentially, the issue relates not to what the load is or what build number it is, but rather how many attachment points it has or how many items there are. That seems to be the controlling factor. And I did ask on Discord if anybody could help, if there's any solution for that, and I didn't get even one reply. So as far as I know, there's no solution other than making the lumber load here, which you see. I could solve it by simply making that a single load, which is what I have for my other lumber loads, and that's what I have for my log loads. They're one load, and you can view them from any distance that you want to, not affected. But I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to see if anybody else comes up with a suggestion or an idea first. Sorry, guy, but we're busy here with their neighborhood industry. Oh, you're going to go anyway? No. That was actually kind of interesting. And surprising, you'd think that once it received the indication that the gate was opening and it could go, and once it started moving, that it actually would go all the way, but it did not. It stopped. Dramatically speeding to get out of his way. So yeah, here we are with our last load for the lumber track. Should be easy for it to take care of. And I don't think that these center beams are going to be going anywhere. They're just going to have to leave the map in all likelihood. And I'm going to check to see if it actually starts. Given the troubles with the MI2 recently, it would not be surprising if it did not. Iron City, starting right now. Great. Okay, let's save that again. Gonna do new 5. And then time to go back to our lovely grain tracks. I believe it's Hank. It's the one we want. Keep working this industry. Now, in a service case, servicing an industry like that, I don't always think the horn is necessary, including under prototypical operations. You're on a totally not anybody would be walking or driving in that area. But I really don't know. I guess it depends on what the regulation says. I'm going to call that perfect. And I think the way that we're going to handle this is that one of these locomotives has to go in for service, but is it this one? Is it 928? No, it is 930. So the other locomotive is the one that has to actually take the train, has to actually stop in for servicing. So that's going to be, it's going to be next once they're done. Is they're going to take the wheat on, take the barley on, I mean. Okay, here we are. So Allegheny. Having a little trouble drawing the train in. Is it perhaps still loading? I know I saw that it started it. Yeah, it's loading 3 of them, but it just takes longer. Seems like we've actually been here long enough. Usually Usually I figure time flies, but I guess here's a case where time did not fly as fast as I thought it would. Okay, so here's a train which is idle. So I think that's the one we stopped because of wanting to drop off some of the locomotives for handling otherwise. And I'm just so surprised at how they really do come up so close. And I did notice how the car tagger seems to be working consistently at the moment. Okay, where will we be able to take off that locomotive? Right here, I guess. So that is Belmont Lumber. I don't think it's going to be a big issue to work it, but we might have to block the street for a little while. I should have actually taken him to Old Town 901 or 401, whatever it was, knowing that I'd have to go all the way into this track anyway in order to clear it for the following train. Let's pause and do that. Old Town. Old Town 801, yep. Which clears up this one. Okay, so now we're starting to get a little bit more of the feeling of being able to jump around and handle multiple tasks at once. So here we are arriving at Grafton with P&B livery. And you can see that I have one switch engine and two GP9. So this is my total roster of P&B skinned locomotives at the moment. And what are they going to do? That's the question. As you can see, I don't have anything tagged. Okay, so we've got some general goods and we have some coal cars. And we're blocking the street, of course. So maybe we just pull into the yard, as would be realistic, I would say. I'm not sure if this track is even supposed to be used. Possibly not. Because these trees, there were trees all the way along here, and I did delete a few of them because they were clipping in. And I think that they were actually clipping in on both sides, but I'm not sure. In any case, I did remove them because they were clipping. And now I'm thinking this track is probably not even supposed to be in use. It's more abandoned and perhaps somewhat used as a service track. So, okay, the general goods. This should be long enough to get us all the way in. But I am wondering if it's going to make more sense to go pick up the coal. Or is the coal actually coming from a mine? I think that's actually the case, isn't it? Sorry, I'm just consulting the spreadsheet briefly here. Ah, I see that these are all actually going to Glosser Brothers. So Glosser Brothers is actually all the way across the map. So the question is where the coal might actually be the first item. Basically, I think I think we need to get the switch engine out because the switch engine is really going to be assigned to handling. Wait, is this train slipping backwards? No one controlling train. Can we just pause this? That's interesting. I actually see an icon over there as if this is a session playthrough, but it's not. Okay, let's go back and see if we can attach this train, and then I'm also going to try to delete this guy, get you onto the train. Oh, okay. So this problem solved. I have no idea what happened there. I mean, it started slipping backwards pretty rapidly. Oh, and then that little session icon disappeared. I almost feel like a bug happened in the game just there. Do we have multiple cabooses on this train? We do. So yeah, the way I did that was not very efficient, I would have to say. Because we have to run around the train with both these locomotives, right? Sorry, it's not really about running around the train. It's more about just taking that SW1200 out of the middle of the train. Now, I did put in SW1500 engine spec on this unit. So it has a little bit more horsepower, I assume, than the original asset. And then how realistic the easy mode is for controlling also is probably a factor. Let's get back here, stop you. You don't need to go any further. Normally on my playthroughs, my plan is to go for about 2 hours and then split the videos into 2 for sharing on YouTube. However, today, because of these sound issues, I'm thinking to keep it to 1 hour. So that means we are almost at the conclusion of today's About 2/3 of the way to the conclusion of today's playthrough. Okay, that did not work out very well, but no derailment. When I'm multitasking and thinking about multiple different things, and when there's potential errors with the game like card tag or MI2, that's when the prototypical operation starts to go out the window a little bit. Of course, talking also affects things. It is my intention to replace the SW1200 horn. I'm not very into horns. I know that there are a lot of people who are totally into horns, so that's why I didn't do it yet. But of course, I do acknowledge that that's not a very realistic horn sound for this tiny little locomotive. I think all my locomotives right now have the same horn sound. All my diesels, at least. And generally speaking, I do not want to be operating multiple locomotives like I am now. But sometimes there are exigent circumstances. All right, I think we're going to send you into the Allegheny yard. Drive to Allegheny, forgetting which is east and which is west, but I'm going to say we're going to the east track. Hopefully I'm right about that. Let's pause it and make sure. Oh, no, it turns out that it is west. Drive to track 1 track 1 west. That is Jeff. Yes, the SW2 may have some difficulty drawing in on occasion. Make sure everything is lined up, which I'm sure it is not. Oh, it is. Surprise, surprise. Oh, that is not lined up. That is good. That is good, that is good, that is not good. Okay, Grafton lumber, excellent. Do we want to do Grafton lumber first or the ag co-op, I think, is probably more urgent. This is all about working these industries today. I could put him on an autopilot, actually. It's a fair distance to go. Drive to ag co-op pickup and drop off. I mean, it's not going to slam into those cars or anything, I don't think. Maybe there's a better track mark to take him to. There is track mark 234 229 58 548. That would be slightly better. I think we're gonna risk it. Some lovely gigantic building assets there. Okay, we need to go back to Adair, I think. See what is going on with Sweets. Okay, good. Sweets is done. And I think the trick probably is going to be to put our boxcars in and then potentially shunt the tank cars in where they are right now, where the boxcars are right now. I do love the fairly short clears on the junctions in this layout. I think that's a very thoughtful adjustment to have made. People are getting antsy already. Hey, we barely started, people. Now, I did adjust the industry because I felt that given the industry is actually now working, it would have a longer loading platform. And you might imagine that the design was that, hey, they only really ever get one or two boxcars. They only really ever get one or two tank cars. But that's not the way I wanted to operate it. So I adjusted so that there are now two tank cars can be unloaded simultaneously and two boxcars can be unloaded simultaneously. And let's let the traffic go. People are like honking at the train after it let them go. Probably not very prototypical. As this guy are ultra detailed but totally empty Corvette. And I wonder if this could actually be modified with like just add an attachment for somebody sitting in there. It seems like it could be. I mean, it's a lot of work to do for a background car, but still, it is super nice. When you make an asset like that, a convertible, which is so beautiful and so detailed, it's naturally that you want to look at it very closely. And then what do you see when you look at it closely? There's no driver. So yeah, let's see how many we can get in at once for unloading and loading. I mean, I want to stay pretty close to what Approach Medium's vision was for the route. So there are a lot of instances where there is just loading for one car. Okay, 4. So 4 at once, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more. Thomas is waiting. Oh, right, we were going to let these tank cars in. Get out of the way. This time, in the interest of time, I think I will not allow the other traffic to go. So yeah, that is actually another task completed. So now I think we picked up all the wheat at Shawnee, so that's one task completed. And then the lumber at Iron City, that's a task completed. So for each hour-long session, having at least one task completed is nice. Make very certain that that's going to clear, and then we're going to jump back to the ag cooperative. Yep, cars are unloading. All 4 cars are unloading. That's nice to see. Okay, Amy, where is Amy? We better keep on with Hank. Hank's going to take a while, right? So keep processing him. Now, in the old days with multi-industry new, you just probably keep on Hank and inch through here, and the whole train would be done in a few minutes, but it would be painful because it'd be so unrealistic, and then it would still take time. But, we were going to shuffle one of these SWs off. Yeah, so these center beams, you may notice that they look almost exactly the same as the Toomey center beams, and intentionally I designed them that way, but with a different skin. Not just with the different skin, but actually with the skin changer. So you notice there are a couple that are a different color, but actually most of them are a different color. You just can't tell because they're mostly that rust color, but they have different railroads. Selected train has no driver, not surprising. So Vaughn. Yeah, that's not going to clear it. But now it's going to clear it easily. So yeah, the Reading lines and the Erie Lackawanna skin that you see here, that livery, and also the weathering is based on a photo that I found on an excellent Conrail website. And I think all the Conrail websites really point out how many different liveries the Conrail locomotives had. If you look very closely to this livery, you can just see the Reading lines peeking through behind the CR. How many tons has he got? Ooh, way over. Well, no worries, because it's going to be unloaded soon, and then it will weigh a lot less. I don't think we have any street running here. We just have a lot of streets to cross. Beautiful. That's railroading at its finest. One more to do, though. Okay, so what are we going to do here exactly? I'm going to say we're going to leave the caboose and we're going to continue on so we can start with the end of the train. Because it does all go to Belmont Lumber. I believe that this Old Town area is the very first area of the map from the build series. And I'm pretty sure he came back to it maybe in some other episodes, but yeah, I feel like some of these junctions here were some of the first areas that I remember. And I can't remember if I started watching from the beginning. As I said before, I've seen them all, for sure. But did I start from the beginning and watch all the way through the first time, or did I kind of jump around and see that he had made? Because I think I started watching roughly 2020 or so. And that was the first time I ever heard about trains. Oh, I see that we are up to almost just minutes away from the end of this episode. So I should probably be thinking about jumping around and seeing where we've gotten to, because we're probably not going to, in our 2 minutes that we have left, we're not going to really be able to do this lumber servicing. So, yeah, we'll just get it beyond that switch there. Good. Okay, let's go back and first of all, let's get to Hank. I think Hank has probably serviced another car. He has. Just keep Hank moving on. And then I think we're going to go to end up with Thomas. Ooh, Thomas turned on his bell. That's interesting. Back it up. I think there's plenty of space, but better check. Oh, one got unloaded there, but none got unloaded in the middle. Well, there's the music, so as you probably guessed, that's all the time we have for today. Hope you enjoyed yourself, and we'll see you again next time on the Wallace Branch.